All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another webinar in which we're going to just kind of play around with ideas, hopefully give you guys, hey Linda, hey Ida, hope you guys are well, give you guys some ideas, something to play with, and hopefully give you some value which you can take away from here and not just play with it during this very, 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 very strange time we're living in, but yeah, also just kind of make you a better photographer, hopefully. So the idea was tonight, over the last couple of days, we have been looking at Lightroom, some editing, and then to monochrome specifically. We have looked at Photoshop last night, some ideas and stuff in there. And then tonight I want to look at Nik Filters. Now, I'm just going to wait for some people. I see that people are still joining. See it. I haven't made these public yet, either on my own or on the Wild Eye platform. So I'll show that to you now. Quick show of hands, just using the chat function for me. How many of you have tried or are currently using Nik Filters? Go, please, in the chat function. Just to give an idea of who we're speaking to. No, yes. I've got a bit of a mix here. Try today. You guys are typing really quick. I'm trying to keep up. No, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Not yet, a bit. Okay, gotcha. Silver fix only. Just got it. Okay, cool. So a little bit of everything. Now, just while I'm waiting, there's still people joining. So before we get going, what I'm going to quickly share with you guys here is I'm going to share my screen with you from a Lightroom point of view. And I'm going to give you a chance, like a couple of seconds, to screenshot this. Okay, these are the upcoming webinars for the next week. There are more that's going to be loaded, right? These are official. I'm going to release these dates tomorrow on the Wild Eye feed. And I'll obviously share my own ones. I've put this little picture of me, which is nice and small, so you don't have to really look at it. It's black and white. So this is tonight, next week, Monday morning. So I'm trying different time zones to try and cater for as many people around the world as possible. So the basic panel in Lightroom, next week, Monday, and I'm literally going to go slider by slider in the basic panel and explain to you guys what each one does. On Tuesday, 10 o'clock South African time, cataloging tips and tricks in Lightroom. It is probably the most powerful feature in Lightroom, but a lot of people don't really understand it. We're going to go deep into that. On Wednesday, 10 o'clock again, sharpening and noise reduction in Lightroom. This is a vital one for a lot of people because people don't understand that these two things work really, really closely together. So I'm going to go deep into that, not just what it is, but also how you can affect it and change it and manage it inside of Lightroom. And then next week, Thursday evening, which is it a week from today? I think it's a week from today, the adjustment brush in Lightroom. And I'm going to spend an entire 45 minutes going deep into the adjustment brush. It is a super powerful tool, and we are going to go really, really deep into that one. Yes, Linda, sorry, that is 4 a.m. But as you guys know, because I see a lot of similar familiar names. So thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate you joining. I am recording every single one of these, and every single one of them will be going up onto the Instagram TV next week, onto mine, and we'll obviously share it onto the Wild Eye platform as well. We have, for those of you that follow me on the Wild Eye team, you'll know that we have a new staff member. She started with me yesterday officially, and we're doing a redesign on a lot of the marketing collateral and branding that you're going to see online. So I'm currently sitting on all of the webinars that the guys and myself have done from Monday. We're going to be loading those out. So this one, the Photoshop one, the Lightroom one, Linda, the one from 4 a.m. that you might not be awake for, we will be loading all of those so you can watch it after the fact. The interesting thing though is with these webinars like this, the ability to ask live questions and interact golden, loving the chats, loving the Q&A. So at any point in time during this webinar, again, if you have any questions, use the Q&A tab. I will get to every single one. And if you have comments or questions, and I might ask questions of you guys, use the chat feature. That just comes to me and I can manage that from there. Now, this is the first time, and I had this little internal struggle just before we get going here, is it's really cold in Johannesburg. So instead of wearing a nice collared shirt, I decided it's hoodie day today. It's our official Wild Eye hoodie. No, you can't buy them just yet, but we are going to look at that down the line. Okay, so let's get into Nik Filters. So let me just share two screens with you quickly before I come back and we'll dig into this. So the first screen I'm going to share with you just to show you where we're going to be working. The first one here is Photoshop, right? Hang on, did I do that right? See, these multiple screens tend to get to me. I'm going to share, yeah, let's share Photoshop first. So in Photoshop here, what I've done is I've selected a number of images. That's Vic Falls, this is Svalbard, Camp Mansfield, great history there, an piece of ice from Svalbard, elephant from the Masai Mara, a lion from the Masai Mara, and then it just happens to be two mating leopards from the Masai Mara, right? Now, each of these I'm going to be using for a different reason as I walk you through Nik Filters, but we'll go deeper into that in a second. The second screen I'm going to be sharing with you later on is Lightroom, which is this one over here. And in here, I've chosen, these are all raw files, right? It's a waterfall from Iceland from January, elephant from Amboseli, very cute mom and cub from the Masai Mara. This is from Chobe quite a while ago. Migration, a zebra coming down the hill. And then these two same mating leopards, right, from the Masai Mara. Now, we need to quickly talk file management. Nik Filters. Now, I'm going to quickly just give me an idea. How many of you were on last night's webinar with regards to Photoshop, where I spoke about the different ways you can manage files inside of Lightroom and outside, please? How many of you were here last night? Just give me a yes in the chat function, please, just to kind of see if we can carry on from there. Okay, digging it. Great. Guys, thank you so much for coming back. Really appreciate it. Okay, so what we're going to do, let me explain Nik Filters before we get in. Chris, don't worry about missing it. I will be posting that online, like I said, next week. Okay, Nik Filters. Nik Filters is not a replacement for Photoshop or for Lightroom. They work together beautifully. You can either use your Lightroom as the processing and you plug Nik Filters on top, or Photoshop and plug Nik Filters on top. And then another webinar next week, what I'm going to do is how you do Lightroom, Photoshop, Nik, and how they all work together beautifully. So this is not a replacement. It's in addition to what we already know. Now, if you do, let me just scroll down here to keep in touch. If you use Nik Filters inside of Lightroom, the filter is exactly the same as it is as if when you use it in Photoshop. It's exactly the same. The user interface, it's very Lightroom-esque in its kind of look and feel, and I'll show you that now, obviously. But there's two couple of differences that we need to know about. In Lightroom, we know that our raw files live in a certain place. We said that last night as well. Right, the raw files live in a certain place. If I now say to Lightroom, cool, take what you've done, raw adjustments, and I'm going to run this through live with you. Now take it into Nik Filters, one of the 7 filters that they have, do stuff to it, and then bring it back. It doesn't change your raw file in Lightroom. It once again creates a TIFF file that sits in the same directory as your raw file. Please give me a yes, just if you understand what I've got there so far. It creates a new TIFF file that sits inside of Lightroom. Got it. Okay, I'm liking this. There's a lot of yeses. Fantastic. Okay, the reason this is important is some people get confused that when they then look at their Lightroom catalog, it's like, oh my goodness, suddenly there's 2 versions of this elephant. I think one looks better, but I'm not sure about this. Okay, that's a cool thing if you want to do just one filter. The problem I have, and it's not a problem, it's just something to be aware of, is if you start doing multiple adjustments to images inside of Nik Filters, inside of Lightroom, it's easy to have your raw file that you process. Then you do something in color effects. You got a second TIFF file. You now do something in silver effects. You got a third TIFF file. You do something in Viveza. You have a 4th TIFF file. So you could very easily be looking at your Lightroom catalog, and there's 4. I've been up to 11 versions of the same image. Confusing. Okay, that's why I prefer personally to do my Nik filter work my hoodie's dirty. Sorry, just saw that now. Random. I prefer to do my Nik filter work inside of Photoshop because there's more creative control. And once again, we can blend and we can use the masks to fade adjustments. All right. So to introduce you guys to Nik Filters, I'm going to start in Photoshop because it's easier for me to show you the different filters. Okay. Keep the questions coming on the Q&A. If you have any chats, I'm keeping the chat box open all the time so I can see what you guys have any questions to go, but I will get to your Q&As. Right. We are diving into Photoshop over here. Alrighty. Now, let me put this on the side over here. I'm going to start just to give you actually, whoa, come back here. Come back here. You with me quickly one more time. Now, the history of Nik Filters, just so that you know. And I have a little bit of a personal issue with them, right? That's great to know. Thank you so much. I see that thumbs up. I have a personal issue with Nik Filters. Right. This goes back, way, way, way back. When you bought a Nikon camera, you got Nik, and they had another name for it, but it was the import function that you could use to import your images into your computer. Right. At the time, the big win for Nik Filters, we're talking way back, was something called U-Point technology, and I'm going to show it to you now. It is still there. Nik Filters then sold, initially you could buy them one at a time. So I bought, I think $79 at the time. I bought Silver Effects and Color Effects because they are both awesome and you guys are going to love it. Okay. I bought both because I loved it and it was awesome. Next thing, they re-released the entire package of all 7 filters for something like $149. So I emailed them and I said, hey, listen guys, I've bought 2 filters already. Can I please have the rest? They said no. Obviously, I was very disappointed, but it is what it is. So I bought the entire grouping thing again. Okay. Then Google bought Nik Filters from Nik, N-I-K. They bought it because Google wanted the back-end technology. So Google then took all of these things. They took the technology for whatever they wanted to use it for. They re-released the entire thing as a free collection. And I'm like, shit, I've now paid for these things 3 times already. But I downloaded it again because they did a bit of a revamp more recently. And I think that was about a year ago. DxO bought this from Google. They revamped it, upgraded it for Lightroom CC and Photoshop CC, and you could buy it again. In all honesty, I did try my luck and I emailed them and said, hey, I've bought this thing like 3 times and I've downloaded it once. Can I have it for free? They said no. Anyway, so I bought it again and it is worth every cent. So again, quickly show me how many of you have actually bought Nik Filters, please. Just a yes in the chat section. How many of you have bought this product? Yes, 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 there's a couple. No, no, not yet. No, no, no. It's a kind of, okay, 30-day trial, Pam, that'll work for now. No, no, no. Okay, cool. Okay, gotcha. So I don't have anything. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't get free stuff from everybody. I use Olympus cameras because they give it to me to use, but it's not mine. I don't have any affiliation. I cannot recommend Nik Filters highly enough. So the moment you are finished here, and if you like what you saw here, get it. Not because I get anything. I get zip from them, just because it's going to add massive value for you guys. Okay, let's get into this. So I'm going to share back to Photoshop, and let's go and look at each of these different filters and go from there. Right. I'm going to start with just showing you the original filter that started Nik off. Once you've installed the product, and we'll get to Lightroom in a little bit, works the same. When I go into Photoshop and I've got my image open, and you go up to filter, and then you come down over here to Nik Collection. The Nik Collection is made up of these filters. So if you buy the Nik Collection, you get all of these. Okay. Now, in all honesty, the one that you will be using very, very regularly is Color Effects, Silver Effects, Viveza, and then possibly also Define, which is a ridiculous noise reduction filter, and then maybe HDR, the Sharpeners, and Analog Effects Pro. Okay, so I'm going to take you through, I'll open all of these for you to see, but we're going to focus heavily tonight on Color Effects, Silver Effects and Viveza. I will show you Define as well, but it's easy to figure out once you understand the layout. I'm going to start you off with Viveza though. Okay, so you click this. Now, I just want you to remind you, if you haven't seen it yet, you can check it on the replay, but I only have my one layer open, only one layer. This is my base image that I've started with. Okay, this is a raw file, untouched. I've done nothing to it. So the cool thing that you can do in Photoshop, and this is why I prefer doing it in Photoshop, is I go Filter, Nik Collection, and I'm going to start here just to explain to you where this came from. And I click Viveza. What it does is it opens the Viveza platform. Can you all confirm that you can see this new window, please, just for me to know? You can all see the new window. Yes, great. Okay, dig it. All right. What happens here is this red line that you can swipe over here gives you a before and after view of what you've done. This is universal through all of the Nik filters, through every single one. Okay, you can change that up in the top corner here, where you have either the before and after like that, just the original that you're working on, or this. I love this red line that you can drag across, but you'll see now why. Okay, now, when Nik Filters originally started, they had something called U-point technology. What that meant is it's very similar to the special adjustment brush and the radial brush, radial filter inside of Lightroom, which I'll be doing next week. But you would take this and I would then select a point. So I'd click up here, add control point, and I would click over here. Okay, I can set the size of this thing. And then inside of this circle now, whatever adjustments I make, and I can either do it here, or I can do it here, brightness, contrast, saturation, and so on, will only be affected inside that area. But, and I need you to guys just bear with me for a second here. Little bit technical for 1 second, if you don't mind. If I do this, okay, what you're looking at here now is the white areas of the frame, is that areas that will be adjusted. So the whiter the area is, the heavier the adjustment that you make. So if I push, for example, saturation up, it'll be applied more in the bright areas and not at all in the dark areas. Does that make sense? This is important. Just give me an idea that you're following along so far. Got it. Thanks, Alyssa. Sally, thank you. The lighter the area is, so for example, if I look up, this area here will be heavily affected. So remember, there's my circle, but you can see it goes outside the circle as well. The win here, right? The win for that is, it's very easy using Nik Filters, and especially that U-point technology, to blend an adjustment in. The biggest fail that you can have with your own processing is if someone looks at your image and they say, ha, I can see what you did. You put a radial filter on the face, you drop the exposure. This U-point technology, the way it focuses in the circle, but blends over the entire screen in a fading manner, is golden. It's golden. I want you guys, when you're done, okay, I'm having a whiskey on the side. This is a Johnny Black for those that's going to ask anyway. Is when you look at some of the images on Instagram, right? You scroll. Cheers, Ida. It looks like you can see when someone has taken a radial filter on the leopard's eye and pushed the saturation up. You can see it's happened. It looks like this thing swallowed plutonium. It's wrong. So the moment someone can see what you've done to your images processing-wise, you fail. That is why this U-point technology is amazing. Right, I'm taking you back to that. Let's go back there. We're going to go to this. Okay, we're back. So I'm going to turn this off. So you now know that if I put the circle just here, it doesn't just focus in the circle. It's heavily weighted towards the circle, but it also fades it out. So it makes it look a little bit more balanced. Okay, happy so far. Now I'm going to just take this off, and now I'm going to do my adjustments. I'm just going to overcook this for you guys. So you see, let's say structure up. Structure is very similar to clarity, right? Let's give it some saturation. Okay, now I can add as many here as I want. So let's just do 2 more. I'm going to add another control point over there. And again, let me just show you what it would do. So this one is affecting that area. Got it? Take it away. And let's just pump the structure up there and let's give it saturation. I'm just overcooking this just for effect, right? Now let's do one more on the actual elephant. There's the elephant. I can control how big or small this goes, right? And then over here, let's see what that one will affect. Just the elephant. You guys should already be thinking, holy hell, this is cool. I can start processing according to tonal values of just certain areas. This is magic. It really is cool. Okay, so I'm just checking your chats here coming in. Okay, this is crazy. I don't wait. We're just getting started. I'm just warming up, right? So now I've got this on my elephant, and I can now say, right, let's do structure on him. Let's see what happens. That's there. Let's make him a little bit brighter just because we can. All right. So now I've done these things, right? So I've only got this filter here, or sorry, that viewpoint, this one in the sky, and this one on the elephant. I'm now going to swipe this red line all the way across. That was our image before. Okay. Now I'm going to bring it back slowly and watch the change that we have made. Can you guys see what's happening here? Look at how that thing is jumping. Yeah. It is, let's do all the way, pretty amazing. It's both pretty and amazing. Okay, so that is, remind me again how you set the viewpoints. What is the percent number in the control pin? Okay, Pam, do me a favor, go put that in the Q&A, please. I will get back to that. Amy Sanchez, remind me again how to set the viewpoints. So to set a point, you literally just click up here at control, you click on that, and then you click whichever area you want to do. So if I want to do the grass, I'll go down here, and then I can do the size. Okay, while I'm here, let me show you this. If you have an area like this grass, which is all pretty uniform from a color and from a texture point of view, right? Let's do something with the grass like big like that. I'm going to overcook this again so you guys can see. I now think, okay, this is cool, but I want to make all the grass look like this. What I can do is I can say hold Alt or Option and drag it across. So if you're on a Mac, you hold the Option key while you drag, and it literally duplicates that group across, and you can very easily cover the entire thing with the same adjustments. Right. So let me just drag this again. This is the before, all the way back. Right? And then we go across and watch what it happens. Holy hell, it is very exciting. Okay. So stop sharing there. Pretty sweet so far. Yeah. Nik Filters, guys. I cannot recommend this stuff highly enough. And when I get to some of the other real adjustments now, when we get to color effects and silver effects, I believe in some of the sliders in color effects so much that Lightroom should literally go and buy those sliders and include them. That's how strong this stuff is. Now, people will say it's cheating. It is not cheating. Filters are not cheating. Unless you start changing colors black and white, that's a whole different story. But for wildlife photography, the things you are doing here, you should, with enough time and effort, be able to duplicate it inside Lightroom and Photoshop. You might have to go really, really deep in your adjustments, but it should and is possible. So this is just something that helps. It's like, for those of you that I do Olympic lifting sometimes, cleans and jerks and snatches, right? I can do the movement. If I wear weightlifting shoes, it's just a little bit easier. It's not cheating. It just makes the process easier. So use it. Don't be, oh no, I can't use filters. This stuff will make a difference to your photography. I guarantee it. Okay, I'm going to go, Pam, what is the percent? Okay, cool, we'll get there. Elissa, the free version of Nik, blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. I will answer all of your questions. Keep them coming. All right, let me take you back now, and let's look at one or two of the other adjustments. If I take you over here, that is Viveza. Now, if this is the cool thing, remember we opened this in Photoshop, yeah? We opened this in Photoshop. If I click OK now, it saves these adjustments. And let me take you just to Photoshop. Sorry, it's being funny over there. What you'll see now is it automatically creates a new layer on top. Remember, This is my base layer. That is the new processed version that we've just created. Watch here. If I hide this layer, that's original, that's new. That's original, that's new. Make sense? You guys, we're going to get to Sally. I'm going to get to that in Lightroom in a second. I just want to kind of do the basics here first. So you should be getting super excited looking at what we've just done. And we're just messing around. We haven't even started yet. Okay, so that's for Vesa. If I now remind you quickly, under the filters, this was the original of the Nik filters, and they built it up. Okay, I'm going to select the next image here. So let me go and choose. What have I got here for you? That one. I'm going to get to that analog later on. This one, which one do I want to use? Let me go to this. Okay, so this image you see here now, this is a processed version of a lioness we photographed in the Masamara. I think it was about June last year or so, right? On this one, what I'm going to try and do now is I'm going to show you another one of my favorites, which is Color Effects Pro. Now, when I open this, again, guys, if you open this in Lightroom and or Photoshop, the interface looks the same. It doesn't matter. The only thing why I prefer it in Photoshop is you get this layer effect where you can fade it in. Actually, hold that thought. Bear with me here. If I go back to my elephant, remember here, we've got these two adjustments, yeah? The top one is my processed Nik filter version, and then the original. That would be original, and there. The cool thing is, if you overcook your Nik filter, you can just drop the opacity of this top one by doing this. So that's 100% opacity, right? Watch what happens to the image as I slowly drop the opacity. If I go all the way down, yeah, you can fade in how much of the adjustment you want. I hope you are excited while you're looking at this, because I am. It is amazing, right? So you can adjust the opacity of how strong the adjustment is applied to the base layer. It is pretty sweet all around. Okay, let me take you back to this lioness. Now, I'm going to now open for this one. I'm going to open another one of my favorites, which is Color Effects. Now, again, I click that. It opens up, which looks a lot like Lightroom. You've got stuff on the sides and stuff on the sides. Yeah? Now, before I carry on, let me just bring you here. Where are we? Okay. I've only shown you, I've scratched the surface here. I'm going to scratch the surface on every one of these. If I had to do an in-depth course on this, which for now, just be quiet, we are planning. It's coming, right? It'll take me weeks to go through all the detail. I'm going to give you my highlights for you to start playing with. So back now into Nik Filters over here. So this is Color Effects. Watch here again. You've got this line, which is the before and after. You can set that up at the top over here. Now watch this. This is how cool this is. Every single one of these that you see on the left-hand side is a different filter that you can use to process your images. I shit you not, it is ridiculous. Okay, watch. If I just click black and white, I'm just going to click through a couple of these from the top down. Can you see that each of those does something different to the image? Okay, now I know you were all caught up in that. Watch again. I'm gonna keep going, but watch this. Every time I click something on the left, the adjustments on the right changes, which means if I do this, I can continue here, darken and lighten, extract the detail, dynamic, forward, and so on, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. The options here are endless, right? Now, for those of you that are going to watch this later on Instagram TV, or if you have a pen with you, I've created, and they've kind of grouped them into landscape, wedding, architecture favorites. I've created my favorites, and these are the ones that I like to use on a regular basis. Brilliance, warmth, dark and lighten, detail extractor, glamour glow, and pro contrast. It is absolutely insane what these can do. Now, I'm going to start just to show you off pro contrast. Remembering, if I click on pro contrast, my adjustments on the right hand side will change. Watch, click there, boom, and now I've got this. Okay, these three functions, this is the stuff that Lightroom should be buying from Nik. And one day when I own Lightroom, right, I'm going to make them buy this. So correct color contrast, and I'll show you this when we get to Lightroom in a second. This takes any color contrast that sits on the image and it tries to remove it, i.e. it looks at the entire frame and says, is there too much green? Now, I'm not talking about this green. I'm talking about a green cast on the animal or on the tree. When you shoot gorillas, or if you have gorilla images, go and try this. It is amazing. Let's just see what it does on this image. So I'm going to take the color cast up. Can you guys see what happens? It tries to remove not the green saturation, but the green color cast that is in the image. Somewhere there, kind of looks natural. Now, if you think of the contrast slider in Lightroom, and you can join my webinar next week. Okay, hold that thought, Claire. I'm going to get to that in a second. When I do my basic panel next week, I'm going to discuss the contrast slider. Contrast slider split into two gives you these two. Now, the easiest way to figure this out, right? I'm going to slide them up and down. Next one, up and down. So the one focuses on the highlights, the other one focuses on the darks. So if I just push this up a little bit, and then I push this one up a little bit there, you probably can't see the difference. But watch what I've done. If I now slide, there's before, there's after. Can you see it? Almost like a veil has been lifted off this image, and it just looks a little bit brighter and better. I hope you can see that. Please tell me you can see what I'm seeing. Yes, before and after. Okay, now Claire was asking here, what's the difference between, how is that difference to tint? Now, tint normally works on a green to magenta. What this thing does, it isn't limited to those. It literally looks for any color cast that is prevalent in the image, and it tries to reduce that without affecting saturation. Okay, without affecting saturation. These things, I would go as far as to say, if you guys go back to Lightroom, waving, if you guys go back to your images that you've already processed in Lightroom, and you run this pro contrast on it, and I remember, Alyssa, I don't know if you were with that trip in Great Bear Rainforest when Ida was there as well. We did this. It can make almost any one of your images better. It is that good, right? It is that good. So now I'm going to keep going just while I'm in here. Julia, you're very kind. Thank you. Beautiful photo, by the way. Yeah, there was vultures up in the tree, which was pissing her off. So she's looking up, which is quite nice. Okay. The cool thing now, you can start, and this is why color effects is so endless. I've now got my pro contrast, right? I've done my stuff here. I can now say, let's add a filter. Boom. I now select another one, and I'm going to, for the purposes of now, select darken and lighten. This is like adding a vignette. So what this does, I can select shape. Do I want it circle or more kind of oval? I'm going to select oval, and you can decide how big the center is going to be. You can place the center. So I will place this on my animal, and then you basically control two things. Number one, you control the center luminosity or the brightness and the border brightness. If I take the one down and the one up, that's what it does, right? But you can now blend in here, and it feathers it beautifully so that you get a bit more depth to the image. Okay, so let's look at it before and after. Remember, I've now combined these two filters. Let's go before and after. Can you guys see what's happening? This should have you all reaching for a glass and cheersing me with your red wine right now, yeah? It is ridiculous. Now, watch, we can keep going. You can now say, right, if you like the combination of these two, you can save it as a recipe. And I can say, and save it as that, right? Then in future, all of these adjustments will be applied to any images moving forward. Gotcha. And it goes under recipes. Now, what we need to look at here is, I'm going to go back to the top. You now need to start thinking, if I go to all of the adjustments, you have, I think there's about 42 of these or something, right? You can keep on adding filter after filter after filter after filter. Guys, literally endless options. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to save this. Wait. Sorry, one more thing. I can at this point, so I've got, minimize this. I've now got these two here. If I decide I don't want pro contrast, I only want the bottom one, I can just unclick that. And it actually removes the one and just keeps the other one. It is pretty damn amazing. Okay, if I hit, what Linda says, if you save the recipe, would you not have to change them depending on the image? Is it for a sequence? Great question. Yes, it would rely, it's the same as copying adjustments in Adobe Lightroom. You would kind of need the same image to get the same result, but you can save that recipe if you have a certain look, and I'll get to that in a second. Okay, I'm gonna now save this. I'm gonna hit okay. It's saving all of that. Let me just share my Photoshop screen with you again there. And remember what we had earlier on, it's processing it, doing its thing. The image is so awesome that it's really thinking hard about it. And there's our adjustment. Again, the cool thing in Photoshop is you get the Nik filter and you've got the background filter, the background version of it. Okay, I can now turn this off. There's my original. There's with the filters, original with the filters, got it? But I can now still decide, let me drop the opacity and fade that adjustment in before and after. And you can fade it in to however much you want. Okay, guys, Nik Filters, I've only started and we're already, are you guys happy if I go a little bit over time? Just because this is awesome, right? There's some cool stuff we need to get to. All right. Are you following what I'm doing here? You can do your, and I'm going to do some of them now in Lightroom for you to see the difference. It's not cheating. It is taking an image and making it better, right? It's just making it better. So let me just quickly check your questions if there's anything at this point. Okay, I'm seeing, do you have to merge layers before you go back into Lightroom? Okay, Julia, I see yours. Amy, I see yours. Ida, okay, I will get to all of those in a second. Keep the questions coming, we will get there. All right, so let me go back and I'm going to share my Photoshop screen with you again. All right, and let's just do one. I just want to do one. What do we got here? Yes, again. Yes, again. So I'm going to quickly just do one more image in here before I take you to the Lightroom. Which one can we use here? Okay, let's, for argument's sake, is I'm going to use this elephant image again. Okay, my favorite way of going to monochrome, and some of you did join the monochrome in Lightroom a little while ago. Mix this now together with what we're going to do here. So I'm now going to go and I'm going to say, I've got the Vesa on here already. Remember my elephant? We've done that to it. Now I'm going to say, okay, cool. I now want to take it into Silver Effects. Now, I just want us all to pause for a moment and recognize that Silver Effects is without a doubt one of the best ways to change a photograph into monochrome within digital photography. It is that good. Okay, filter, Nik Collection, Silver Effects, click there. Now, it once again will open up a Lightroom-esque type of look and feel that you have. The before and after is here. Now, what you're looking at right now on screen is what you would get if you basically hit V inside of Lightroom. It's a desaturation. Now, most of you, when you open this for the first time, you will see yours looks like this. Brightness, contrast, and structure. Just like that. But people don't know you can open it up and there's magic inside. So the way that I like to approach this is the following. I click on these. These are basically recipes or templates, right? And you arrow through. And Lightroom, Silver Effects gives you different looks and feels. At this point, hello, I like that. At this point, you're only looking for a starting point to your image. You find something that you want to start with. Okay, you can go as dark or as light as you can. Let's use that for example. I'm just going quite dramatic. No, that's pretty nice. Hang on. Okay, let's start with that. You should already be impressed, right, with what's happened so far. Okay, that's quite funny. So this is the starting point. Now, if you go here, brightness, think of it as exposure inside of Lightroom. Contrast, think as contrast. Structure, think of it as clarity. But each of those gets divided into more. You can now, easiest thing is to play, but you can just affect the highlights in the image. I'm going to swing it just so you guys can see, kind of the clouds. The midtones would be, for example, the elephant and the general, and then you can affect the shadows as well. I hope you guys are getting excited as to what this possibility is. Amplify the whites, amplify the blacks. Okay? Now, watch here. I'm not even finished yet, but if I take you back, and this is quite depressing, that's the original monochrome that a lot of people will put out as fine art. Watch what we have done so far. Okay. Quite exciting. Okay, keep going down. Structure is like clarity. Yeah, structure is like clarity. So you can now add clarity in just the highlighted areas, just the midtones, or just the shadows. Okay, I'm not going to do the fine ones for now. We're going to run out of time. Down, down, down. Now, here, what you have in the old days, some of you might remember this, right? You could choose a filter that you put on the front of your lens, and it cuts out certain lights and it lets other lights through. And it gave you a very strong monochrome effect. By clicking on these three, five, nice, Gerry, you mimic that. So if I click a red filter, that's what I would have gotten. Cool thing now, you can adjust the intensity thereof. Okay, this is up to you. You can go orange and see what happens. Yellow, green, blue. Okay, I like red, so let's keep it there for now. Okay, not too strong, otherwise we'll be overcooking it. I can come down, toning. This, if some of you followed my monochrome from the other night in Lightroom, this is like split toning, but watch this. They give you a bunch of recipes already with different color tones. Personally, favorite, you can use this if you want. I like selenium, and then I can just drop the strength. So there's nothing, and it just adds a little bit of a blue tone to your image. Okay, hey, why not? Let's keep going. Down here, you have vignette. In here, there's a different versions of a vignette, which if you hover over, it shows you. Please don't do that. It looks like Hallmark, yeah, just the white. But something like that, if you're dramatic, pick that, and then you can adjust the vignette. If you want to go further, you can burn the edges. You can say, for example, do that. Okay, so let's just do, I'm just going mad on this thing because we can. You can do the strength of these. And for those of you that want to do prints, you can go further, and underneath here, you can actually add borders into your images. For when you print, you already have that on there. There's some pretty sweet ones. Okay, so let's just, for shits and giggles, let's choose a border like that. All right, so what we've done now, just by playing top to bottom, this is depressing. Before, what people normally think is a monochrome image versus that. Okay, tell me you're impressed. Guys, it is insane. It really is that good. That good. It is that good. Okay. So, okay, I'm seeing the messages. I will get back to as many as we can. So this is Silver Effects. Again, look at that. Let me share it with you one more time. And now, remember, I'm going to hit save now. Let me just do that while I'm doing. I'm hitting save at the back end. It is now saving that image, that black and white image, back into Photoshop as a third layer. Remind me. Let me show you. So, Photoshop's there. Here we go. Still busy saving because there's just too much awesomeness. And there we go. But, whoops, we now have 3 layers. If I hide our monochrome version, I'm left with the Viveza version. If I hide, let me just see, is that off? If I hide this one, we're left with the original. Viveza, monochrome. You can now get really funky in Photoshop by just dropping the opacity slightly on the top one. Watch here. Now you're left with like a kind of monochromy, desaturated version of the image. Get what's happening? Right? Pretty damn amazing. Okay, so you want this. Okay, you need to go buy this filter. Again, I get nothing from it, guys. I don't get a single thing from it, but it is super powerful, and it opens up the it opens up an entire whole new world. Now, we're all running out of time a bit. I might actually do this one again as soon as this webinar is done, but I want to quickly show it to you inside of Lightroom to show you what the difference is. Okay, so let me go and take you guys into Lightroom. Sally, I think the most recent cost, I think, is $69 or $79. Guys, if this was $250, I would suggest that you buy it. It's that good. All right, let me take you quickly into Lightroom. So, Kenton, I see your message. I will get back to that. All right, now inside of Lightroom, right, these are the images, and I'm going to quickly just do 2 or 3 of them. Let me take this. It's an image from Iceland I shot in January. That is the raw file. I'm going to now quickly run through this in a very, very quick process. Inside, I need a filter that buys me enough time to use this for all the photos I want to edit. It's called Lockdown. Sorry, bad joke, but truth. Anyway, so I'm going to process this one very quickly in Lightroom. You guys can replay this on Instagram TV. I set my black point. I set my white point. I want to lift the shadows up a bit. I want to drop the highlights in the sky down a bit. Maybe a bit of contrast. I'm going to leave maybe a little bit of exposure. Texture gives me details in the whites, clarity in the darks. There, maybe a little bit, and there. Okay, so in a matter of a couple of seconds, we've processed that. Yes, you all should be following that. Confirm. You would be able to do that very quickly. So by doing the basic panel, and this is the stuff I'm going to be focusing on heavily in some of the webinars next week. Now, if I go to here, if I do this inside of Lightroom, I need to take this thing now, and I need to go and do it inside of Nik. So I would right-click on it and say, edit in. Don't worry about it. I've got a lot of stuff here. Don't worry about this. I'm going to say, edit in color effects. It now brings this little message up. This means it's going to save that TIFF file in the same directory as your raw file, and then it's going to add it into this. But let's do that. So I want a 300 DPI because I might want to print this later on, for example. And I say edit, and here we go. It's preparing the file for editing, and it'll open the exact same Nik Filters window that we've gotten to know. Okay, so there is the second file, right? It's opened the second file, and then it's just opened a new one. I'm going to just have to reshare my screen with you because it's opened a new one. I'm going to share, where is it? Color effects, there. So it's now opened that image that we've just done in Lightroom inside of color effects. So I'm going to just go straight to my favorite, Pro Contrast here. And let's see. Color cast. Can you see how there was a blue color cast on there? Sometimes it works, but I'm just going to remove a little bit. Let's pump that up a little bit, contrast, and do that. Okay, by doing that, I've taken it from my Lightroom version to the new version. Can you see what the potential is? If I now hit save, it is saving this version of the file back inside, and I'm going to have to quickly just share my screen with you there again. Now it's saved. This was my original, sorry, this is my original NEF, Nikon electronic format, and that is the new one as a TIFF, but it adds it into the same directory. If you put them next to each other, that is kind of what you're looking at. Yeah. This on the right was the original raw process. See how much more the other one pops. See how much more the other one pops. It's brilliant. Okay, so the ones I haven't gotten to yet is define. What I'll do is I'm actually going to load a Nik Filters webinar for next week, version 2, and we'll carry on. I'm going to do one more with you guys. Are you guys keen? Let's do one more in Nik, in Lightroom. I'm going to convert it as a full process in Lightroom. and we'll take it into Silver Effects, bring that back into Lightroom and carry on. Are we good to go there? I'm going to steal 5 minutes more of your time, yeah? And then we will go to the questions. All right, we are starting now. So we're going into Lightroom, which is over there. And I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to play with this one. Okay, I'm going to take that to develop. We just open that so I can see what is going on. Okay. All right. So I'm going to process this as a color version. Then I'm going to turn this into a monochrome using Silver Effects, but I'm doing it out of Lightroom. This is how it's going to work. I'm going to fly through this. I'm going to first crop this thing, right? So obviously not like that, because that won't work, Gerry. Do that. I'm going to just pull this in a bit. I want to focus on these ones here. Decision for me, let's talk a little bit creative. Do I include that one or not? Let's include that one there, but I want to balance it out like that. Okay, done. Let's do the very basic processing. So I'm going to do my black point. I'm going to do my white point. For those of you that have sent me emails with regards to this, guys, been a little bit swamped. And then I will get to all of your emails, still shadows, maybe a bit darker, highlights down. Okay, not too much contrast. And then give me a bit of texture, maybe some clarity. Dehaze will bring the sky in for us. That's a little bit too dark. Lift that up there. Okay, just as a basic, right? So very quickly, this is what you all should be doing. Yeah, you should all be doing this right now in your Lightroom, quick and easy, because this is what it looked like. If you were with me in Amboseli, that's what you would have seen. Linda, I think this might have actually been our trip. I can't remember. Anyway, now at this point, I'm going to say, right click on this thing, edit in Silver Effects. Where is it? Forget my other ones. I've got a whole bunch of stuff here. Silver Effects Pro, and let's do 300 just in case we want to print it, and say done. It's going to open a new window, so I might just have to screen share with you again. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing there. Let me go back, and I'm sharing, where is it? Over here. Okay, so now remember, it's taken my Lightroom edits to this point. That's just a straight up monochrome conversion. I'm going to start on this side, and I'm just going to arrow through and look for a starting point, not a final version. Please don't ever just select one and leave it there. So I'm going down. I'm looking for something to start with. Something that's cool to start. Okay, I'm almost liking that. Okay, I'm just going to like that for now. Okay, so again, before, after. See already what's happened? Yeah? So I'm going to just do highlights up a bit, not too much. I like amplifying the blacks and the whites. Let's go for like a heavy contrast. Let's see what the white red gives us. For those of you interested in very dramatic images, this is your game. Watch this, yeah? Okay, that's there. Let's put a bit of a toning. I'm flying through this just to give you an idea. I love selenium as like a blue tone. It's very similar to the one I did in the monochrome conversion. Let's see before, after, and let's just save that for now. Okay, screen sharing has stopped again there. So let me take you back into Lightroom and go to my grid. So remembering now, that was the original version. This is the original version that I did in Lightroom. There's my new processed version from Nik. Watch this. Inside of Lightroom, there's the adjustments I made, right? When I take my new version that Nik gave me back as a TIFF in the same directory, it's a 0 rated file. So what that means is I can now start from scratch and I can process this as if it's a new file. Drop the highlights, give it some texture, give it some clarity. I'm going to talk more about these adjustments and things next week. You can start putting things like that on, right? We can look at noise reduction and so on and so forth. But to go from one to the next in such an easy step, that is how you should be creating monochromes. Now, I am looking at one. The one I haven't loaded yet for next week. There's two. is Lightroom to Photoshop to Nik to Photoshop to Lightroom is how you link all of them together. And then also maybe a second one is to look at how to do monochrome throughout the whole process, where you use the power of Lightroom and Photoshop and Nik all to create a monochrome version. Okay, I'm going to jump to your questions quickly. Let's see if we can run through some of those and we can go from there. Right, from the top. Pam, what is the percent number showing in the control point list? So what that was, can you write a book, please? Sally, I would love to. Just need to find a little thing called time, which is a thing. What is the percent number showing in the control point list? Pam, I'm not going to go back there, but what it is it shows you as a percentage how much you are adapting. So if you have that on 100%, it'll do 100% within the circle. It's like feathering. If it's 25%, it fades out way more past. Pam, if that makes sense, otherwise drop me a mail. Elissa, what is the difference between using the free version of Nik and the one you pay for? I still have the free version downloaded when we were in Great Bear Rainforest with me, and it seems to work. Do I get more out of the programs if you buy the collection, or should I keep using what I have? They're updating it all the time. There's new algorithms. So a lot of the stuff, Elissa, for example, if there's blue gradients in the sky, Mark, thank you, good luck. We'll chat to you next time. If there's blue gradients in the sky, it might not be as pixelated, right? So I would recommend buying it. It's a once-off buy, and then the updates are free. So I would do it. How do you use the Viveza versus color effects? Maggie, great question. Hope you're well. I was hoping to see you in Chicago, but we'll do that next time. The Viveza I would use if it's very specific. Like if you're looking at my screen, I would just do my face. I would use the Viveza. Color effects would be more of a global thing. The Viveza is also closer to raw processing, where color effects is more of a creative input. Use both. If you use both, go to Photoshop and then you can blend them in. So Viveza for more selected areas and color effects for a global change. Ida, can you show again how you name the recipe? So it's easy. When you say save recipe, a box pops up and you just put in there, Gerry is awesome. Or you just put in the name of your recipe. Amy, honestly, I get overwhelmed with so many endless editing choices. I'm not afraid to jump in and experiment, but any advice on making decisions or narrowing down editing time? Other than that, just tons of time experimenting until we know better. Now, yes, it's tough. You need to, I'm going to go with okay. If you need to spend time, do it. Eventually, you will get a feel for which tool works best. You will. It just happens, right? I think I have done podcasts on that. If not, I will. It's a gut feel thing. I would literally, and people bitch and moan about this lockdown thing, like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm so bored at home, whatever the case is, but try it. And eventually it will get better. I promise you it gets better. Like I can look at an image and know which sliders to use in Lightroom, and I'll go straight to the Nik filter that I want to use, right? Funny, just saying, Louis says, should stop watching the webinars, overload of information, less and less sleep, but so amazing. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, man. That's cool. Okay, I'm going to go with the questions. Julia says, haha, not raising the red one by Chi&D. I sent before I finished my sentence. I thought the Mara is all flat. That looks like thick bush. There is thick bush in the Mara. Johanna is running a webinar next week on different areas and what to expect. And you can get the Mara is super diverse. There's thickets, there's riverine areas. It's amazing. Pam, do you have merge? Do you have to merge the layers in layers before going back to Lightroom? So this is the one for next week, right? Phil, I copy you. If you went from Lightroom to Photoshop and you create layers, if you save it, it throws it back as a TIFF. A TIFF can have layers inside. So you don't have to specifically flatten the layers or merge them. You can just go back to Photoshop, to Lightroom. Lightroom can read PSD files as well. So you can do that. You can if you want to, unless you want to go back later and merge and work the individual layers. Don't worry. Don't bother about it. Alyssa, when you make all these adjustments in Nik? Does it decrease image quality at all? Will images have more noise to it? That's a negative. The reason is it works as a TIFF. A TIFF is non-destructive. If you work a JPEG, if you take a JPEG and you start doing these things, yes, then it will start going down. If not, it's a TIFF or a PSD that you're working. So no, it won't affect image quality. You can only make it better. Shazmin asks, any major difference if we are going from Lightroom to Nik now? Shazmin, please explain a bit more for me, please, on that while I go there. Carol, where do you get it? Very good question. I think you can literally just Google Nik Collection or Nik Filters. It's something like dxo.com/Nik Collection. There you go. Yelena shared it. nikcollection.dxo.com. Okay. See if I can quickly do this. I will share it in the, there we go. It's in the chat, guys. You can copy it from there. So it saves as a TIFF. Shazmin, I edit in Lightroom right now and then take my images into Nik, not through Photoshop. Let's plan one of those private sessions next week, Shazmin, and I'll show you how to link all of them together. That's gold. That's where you'll get it. You'll get it from there, right? Can we still export the TIFF in a JPEG? Yes. Once you've finished your final thing and you're ready to go into Instagram or wherever you're going to post to, then save it as a JPEG. Pam, why do you need to go into Photoshop rather than just do it all into Lightroom? You don't have to. You can do it all in Lightroom. The win for me is if I'm doing it all in Photoshop and I have 4 layers, I'm still working on one image. If I do this in Lightroom, I end up with 4 versions, 4 different files, and it can get messy. So I just prefer the kind of unified approach inside Photoshop, which is great. Ida asked, can you share the link of Nik Filters to buy the whole collection? I mean, I just did that in the chat. You can find it there. I'll just cut and paste it again for all of you to see. There it is, done. Ida asked again, I just want to say thank you for the Nik Filters, the highlight of my year in editing. It is amazing. Okay, guys, any other questions? You have about 5 seconds, and then we're going to wrap this one up. Like I said, I don't get anything from this. Nik Filters is amazing. I will run a version 2 of this, where we will pick up here and we'll look at the other things. The noise reduction is ridiculous. The sharpening, both for online and for print, is ridiculous. How do you save only layer in Photoshop that you want? You have to flatten it, but we'll get to that. Cynthia says, great salesman. If only I made something from it. I just want to give you guys the value. So it really is cool. Guys, done. Thank you so very much. That was a fun one. I will do a version 2 of this, so stay tuned. I did share, let me do this again once more with you quickly. This is the, if you want to screen grab this quickly, these two, this and that together. Those are the upcoming webinars for next week. The dates and the times, the ones I'm running, I can load more for the week after. And these are my contact details on the right-hand side. These have not been released yet, so please keep an eye on the Wild Eye SA Instagram story. I will also share it on mine. You have about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time's up. And I will then, we can then pick it up in the next webinar and version 2 of this as well. Right, guys, sorry for going over time there. I'm sure you guys have to get to dinner or breakfast or whatever you're doing. Actually, no, because we're in lockdown. It's amazing. So for those of you that have also been asking, I will more than likely do another one of my isolation diaries tomorrow morning after training. Just share some random thoughts and feelings and moods and just keep it real. And thanks for following. Guys, wherever in the world you are, good morning, good evening, and good night. My name is Gerry. I'm from Wild Eye. I will see you guys next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.